This is Blu Laker at Radio Tribune in Las Vegas, Nevada, 717 South 9th Street, the corner of Charleston and 9th. And today, we're going to be talking about the history of Nevada. The history of Nevada. Yes, it's very interesting because, well, we became a state in 1864. Well, that period of time, a period when we were in a civil war here in the United States, Nevada had yet to become a state. We did become the 36th state in the Union. Now, I say in the Union because at the time, our forefathers decided that we should be Republicans and in the Union as Republicans. And because of Abraham Lincoln, that's the way it happened. Now, should it have happened that way? Well, I'm not positive that everyone would agree, because there were certain conditions for statehood. We were a territory. And the requirements for a territory to become a state was 50,000 living in the state. Well, unfortunately, maybe fortunately, I'm not quite sure how you look at it, and it is how you look at it that really counts. We only had 42,500 in the entire state of Nevada. So we didn't even qualify according to the conditions for statehood. And then Lincoln signed it into law. But we have a very interesting history. Nevada's harsh but rich environment shaped its history and culture. Before 1580, small Mormon settlements along the border of Utah sustained for their communities through faith, but the secular western section stumbled along until the Great Silver Strikes began in 1858. That created the boom towns and fabulous fortunes. After the beginning of the 20th century, profits declined while progressive reformers sought to curb rampaging capitalism and its attendant's misery. They imagined a civilized Nevada of universities, lofty idealism, and social reform. But an economic burst during the 1910s and disillusionment from failures at social reform and a population decline of nearly 1/4 meant that by 1920, Nevada had degenerated into a beautiful desert of buried hopes. The boom returned when big-time gaming arrived in 1931, 6 years before I was born. And with good transportation, especially to California, metropolitan areas, the nation's easiest divorce laws, and a speculative get-rich-quick spirit, Nevada had a boom and bust economy that was mostly boom until the worldwide financial crisis of 2008 revealed extravagant speculation in housing and casinos on an epic scale. Nevada's 1861 boundaries changed 3 times. 1864 statehood shifted the eastern border from the 39th to the 38th meridian. That's important. From the 39th to the 38th meridian. Now that was done in 1861. In 1862, May 5th, the east border moved forward 53.3 miles and 85.8 kilometers from the 38th to the 37th parallel, and 1867, 18th south boundary moved from the 37th parallel north, southwest, or north southward to the current state boundary. But let's talk about some early historical facts. Geological events formed the state's basin and range topography. The Nevada Basin's psychographic region and the central Nevada desert, the recession of the Palestine Lake La Hortan, changed the Humboldt River course and the Great Basin. The Paiute, Shoshone, Washoe, and Wallapa tribes had inhabited Nevada for millennia before Europeans arrived in the 18th century. So here we see that the tribes actually were here for a long time before the Euro-Americans arrived here in the 18th century. Exploration in New Spain and Mexico, Franco Garcias was the first European in the area. Nevada was annexed as a part of the Spanish Empire in the northwestern territory of New Spain. Administratively, the area of Nevada was part of the Comandancia General of the provinces Chinas in the Viceroyalty of New Spain. Became a part of Alta California, which is the Upper California province, in 1804. When the Californias were split with the Mexican War of Independence won in 1821, the province of Alta California became a territory, not a state, of Mexico. Due to the small population in the latter years, a desire for increased autonomy led to several attempts by the Alta Californians to gain independence from Mexico. Jedidiah Smith entered the Las Vegas Valley in 1827, and Peter Ogden traveled the Humboldt River in 1828. As a result of the Mexican-American War and the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, Mexico permanently lost Alta California in 1848. The new areas occupied or acquired by the United States continued to be administered as territories as part of the Mexican secession in 1848. The subsequent California gold rush that used immigrant trails through the area, the states evolved first as part of the Utah Territory, then the Nevada Territory. That was March 2nd of 1861, named for the Sierra Nevada, the territory. Now, Nevada became a part of the United States through the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo with Mexico in 1848. Mexico had never established any control in Nevada, but American mountain men were in the Washoe, that's the early name for Nevada, as in 1827. A permanent American presence began in 1851 when the Mormons set up way stations en route to the California gold fields. In the absence of any governmental authority, some 50 Mormons and non-Mormon prospectors and cattle ranchers drew up the Washoe Code to deal with land claims. It covered over government issues. There still was no federal presence in the area, so religious tensions worsened and petitions of complaint went to Washington. Non-Mormons sought annexation of California. Utah Territory countered this by incorporating the area as a county. When federal troops were sent to Utah in 1857, the Mormons left Washoe. The non-Mormons took over and launched a move for separate territory status. The early 1860s saw the end of the Indian War. The great Comstock mining boom of 1859 in Virginia City and the coming of the Civil War. The Provisional Territorial Government led to the creation of Nevada Territory by Congress in 1861. The pragmatic attempts to establish workable frontier institutions had failed, and the paternalistic territorial system was welcome. Statehood. That came in 1864, following a Carson City Convention, July 4th of 28, and a public vote on September the 7th. The population of 6,857 in the 1860s increased to 42,941 in 1870. Although Nevada had far fewer than the 60,000 people usually required, the University of Nevada was formed in Elko in 1874 and moved to Reno in 1885. Water sources. The largest United States reservoir, Lake Mead, was created by Hoover Dam on the state's 1867 Colorado River border. Construction began in 1931. From 1930 to the 2000, the Clark County population grew from 8,532 to 1,375,765, while the Reno population increased from 18,529 to 180,480. Mining. The 1859 Comstock lode discovery opened the era of silver mining in Nevada and attracted thousands of miners, most from California. It was discovered by James Finney in Carson County. Despite disputes over the legal limits of a claim soon went to court, as the law of the apex used to determine those limits were unworkable for the deep ore bodies in the Comstock. The legal and judicial system were underpaid and underqualified. Bribery of witnesses and jurors was commonplace. Vague record-keeping created nearly insurmountable difficulties, with property titles and evidence was often destroyed. The workable mining laws were needed. The registration of the entire territorial Supreme Court in 1864 did cause litigation to stop and allow mining work to resume. There was a gold rush that created Aurora in 1860. Located on the disputed border with California, at one time Aurora was the county seat of counties in California and Nevada, until the boundary dispute was settled, locating Aurora in Nevada. The 1867 expansion of the state's sovereign boundary was prompted by the discovery of gold in the area, since officials thought Nevada would be better able to oversee the expected gold rush. By 1872, Nevada mining was an industry of speculation and immense wealth. After 1870, however, the mining industry went into an eclipse, as the state's silver right politicians worked to secure laws to require the federal government to purchase silver. The discovery of silver and gold in 1910 near Tonopah set off a boom that ended Nevada's economic depression. The operators used the best available technology to recover gold and silver from ore. By modern standards, there was much inefficiency and chemical pollution. Methods included the use of the patio process, the Freeburg process, and the Washoe-Pan process. Estimates of value lost through recovery possession ran as high as 25%. Mine operators sought improved technology, but were unwilling to wait years or decades for it to arrive. No one at the time understood the health problems such metals as mercury could cause. Transportation has another story. Although the Transcontinental Railroad crossed the state in 1869, most towns and mines were remote from it and required a network of wagon freight and stagecoaches. Numerous small companies supplied them. Horses, mules, and wagons for hauling borax and silver ore. Stagecoaches were notoriously uncomfortable across the roadless land, but they were better than the alternatives and flourished until a railroad finally arrived. Hold-ups were rare and usually involved petty theft, since armed guards were an effective deterrent. Mini contracts or mail contracts kept stage lines aloft and afloat and allowed the emergence of a class of entrepreneurs who won contracts and subcontracted the actual work. The Eureka and Palisade Railroad was a narrow gauge railroad 90 miles long, built in 1875 to carry silver lead from Eureka, Nevada to the Southern Pacific Railroad trunk line that ran through Palisade. Nevertheless, despite the determination and colorful management style of John Sexton, the line succumbed to the efforts of flood, fire, competing road traffic, and dwindling amounts of extracts in Eureka. The rails and rolling stock of the last surviving narrow gauge railroad in Nevada were removed in 1938. Historic highways include the 1937 US 6 and 1919 US 50, which is the Lincoln Highway. The 1926 designation of the first air mail flight was Eureka. Interstate 15 in Nevada was completed in 1974, while the Lovelock Bypass was the last completed section of Interstate 80 in Nevada. Mining town. Golconda was a mining town in northern Nevada, built when the discovery of copper, silver, gold, and lead brought entrepreneurs who opened mines and mills in the district. A diverse society of native-born Americans, French, Portuguese, Paiutes, Chinese, and other people came in to Golconda to live and work. During 1898 to 1910, the train had a train depot, several hotels, a school, business, newspapers, and 2 brothels. Its population peaked at about 600 in 1907 to 1908. Although boosters predicted growth for Golconda after 1910, the mine played out, leaving the region as an area of ranches and farms. Most of the Iowa buildings from its mining heyday are gone, and Golconda today is a minor stop on Interstate 80. Tuscarora was founded in Elko County after an expedition led by trader William Hurt discovered gold. As miners flocked to the town in 1867 to 1870, a fort was built to offer protection from Indian raids, and a water ditch was created to supply the water to the town. Many Chinese men had been employed by the Central Pacific Railroad, relocated to the town and began placer mining. A second boom following the discovery of silver in 1876 to 1877. A strike in Tonopah, 1900. Silver was followed by strikes in Goldfield, 1902 to 1919, which was gold, and Rhyolite in 1904 to 1911 was gold. The strikes threw Nevada to the forefront. These strikes brought Nevada to the forefront as a nation again. Just as the Comstock lode in Virginia City Nevada had in the late 1800s. While the Comstock made dozens of owners rich, the Golden Goldfield and the stock sold on speculation made two people exceedingly well and rich. George S. Nixon and George Wingfield were worth $30 million after taking their Goldfield Consolidating Mining Company public in 1906. The partners had a loss the following year, and Nixon-Nye County banks struggled. Wingfield, however, reaped an even greater fortune from real estate, especially after moving to Reno. After gaming was legalized in 1931, Wingfield again had money coming in from his leases and a partnership in several casinos. As many Nevada towns went through the boom and bust cycle, gaming kept the state's economics strong. However, remnants of mining resulted in the 1989 designation of the Carson River Mercury state or site. Rio Tinto was developed after the discovery of copper in northern Elko County coal mining district. The town moved from mine to mine, and it went from boom to bust in regular cycles. In 1919, Frank Hunt discovered copper in the area, and they later named his claim Rio Tinto. Once investors and big mining companies became interested in Plume's copper, the town soon developed and filled with homes and houses for the miners. All the copper was removed. Rio Tinto suffered the same fate as most boom towns and vanished. Over 87% of the Nevada area is owned by the federal government as homesteads of maximum 640 acres. In the arid state where generally too little land for a viable farm was a very early settlers would homestead land surrounding a water source and then graze cattle on the adjacent public land, which is useless without access to the water. The enlarged Homestead Act of 1909, the establishment of a state dry farming experiment station, and private promotional efforts stimulated dry farming within a 50-mile radius of Wells, Nevada. But a combination of low precipitation, short summers, abundant jackrabbits, mediocre soil, and the faulty judgment of the settlers themselves virtually ended the ill-fated experiment after 1916. Now, in the 20th century, the state was by far the smallest in terms of population. The 1930 census reported 91,000 people, with Reno, the largest city, at 19,000, and Las Vegas, 55,000. 62% of the people lived in towns with fewer than 2,500 people, or in rural areas alongside the 340,000 cattle and 830,000 sheep. Politics. The gold discovery in Tonopah in 1900 brought together a group of men who dominated Nevada's politics for a half a century. They included George Wingfield, miner, owner, banker, and behind-the-scenes player. George Nixon, banker, editor, and co-founder of the Silver Party. Key Pittman, U.S. Senator Vale Pittman. Key Pittman's brother. General Pat McCarran, U.S. Senator, and George Thatcher, a leader of the state Democratic Party. John Edward Jones and Reinhold Sadler, the Silver Party governors of Nevada. during the 1895 to 1903 shared like backgrounds and rose to political power by the same route. Each was a European immigrant who came to the state in its mining boom of 1870s, proposed financial and engaged in politics until the boom collapsed late in the 1870s. Then Jones and Sadler embraced bimetallism and a companion cure-all for Nevada's economic illustration and reclamation of desert land in order to provide an economy based as partially on agriculture. Religion and ethnicity. Because most of Nevada was openly populated and was subject to common booms and busts accompanied by population fluctuations, Catholic charities faced difficulties in serving spiritually their scattered and local communities. Nevada Catholic parish life until 1900 reflected the Irish heritage of its parish clergy and the bulk of their flocks. Slavic, Italian, and Basque Catholics moved to the state after 1900 and sometimes allied with native-born Americans, so that the traditional dominance of the Irish Catholic diminished markedly by the 1930s. Italian Americans worked in Nevada as miners, but unlike many other immigrants, enough Italians stayed after the mining boom collapsed. They became the largest European ethnic groups by 1910. Many operated farms and ranches, besides exercising significant economic clout. They had fundamentally influenced the Nevada social order in other ways, in part because of their persistent anti-clericism. Gambling. Because of holiday hostilities from miners and their sympathizers, Nevada territorial and state anti-gaming laws were mostly unenforced from 1859 until the Comstock lode mining booms collapsed in 1870s. After 1881, the state attempted to restrict gaming through licensing and other statutory controls. Opponents of gaming and prostitution became organized, and the Progressive era at last persuaded some state legislators to prohibit gaming statewide in 1910 as part of a nationwide anti-gaming crusade. During the Great Depression in the United States, Nevada legalized gaming, terming it gaming. In 1931, the Northern Club received the very first license. At the time, the leading proponents of gaming expected that it would be a short-term fix until the state's economy base widened to include less cynical industries. However, re-outlawing gaming has never been seriously considered since, and the industry has become Nevada's primary source of revenue today. Gaming taxes account for 34% of the state revenue. 34%. Also in 1931, the resident requirement for divorce was reduced to 6 weeks, making Reno a famous mecca for the quickie divorce and people from all over the country to take the cure. In the 1930s, Reno Bank Club was the state's largest employer. It was also the largest casino in the world until Harold's Club surpassed it in the 1950s. The Second World War was good to Reno, as local bases and those in Northern California helped boost the economy in the late 1940s. Bugsy Siegel helped Las Vegas to get Las Vegas on the map by building its first, most expensive casino in the world, the Flamingo, and then by being gunned down at his Beverly Hills home. Las Vegas casinos in the 1950s were mostly low-rise buildings, taking advantage of the wide open spaces that Reno didn't offer in the downtown area of Virginia City. However, Las Vegas bloomed with the new luxury hotels in the 1960s, and the city's gaming casinos drew players from all over the world and away from Reno and Lake Tahoe. In closing for today, I'm going to talk about prostitution. And I'm an authority on that, right? Well, no. Brothels have been tolerated in Nevada since the middle of the 19th century. One in Elko had been in business since 1902 to 1937. A law was enacted to require weekly health checks of all the prostitutes. Reno and Las Vegas had red light districts. When the federal government prohibited all prostitution near military bases in 1942, that was lifted in 1948. In 1951, both residents, both Reno and Las Vegas, had closed the red light districts as public nuisances. And today, as I have tried to go through some historical information about Nevada, and some very interesting information in terms of, especially for people who haven't really paid too much attention. But there's a lot more. As a matter of fact, there's an encyclopedia of information on how Nevada was formed, what caused it to be formed, and how it became a state. As you can see from the short dissertation that I gave today, there were a lot of misgivings, misdirections, and illegal activities concerning the people of Nevada. A lot. And I believe we will come to find what the influences were of various individuals in Nevada politics. And I'm sure, as already indicated, that there are more issues to follow that need a clarification, and maybe some of the superheroes we think of were really not superhero heroes at all. And that might have become one of the biggest political scams of the century. So tomorrow we're going to pick up on that again. And for today, this is Blu Laker. This is Radio Tribune in Las Vegas. And don't forget, the Las Vegas Tribune comes out weekly and it's full of great information about a lot of subjects, everything from North Korea to the border. So when you get a chance, go online, pull up the Las Vegas Tribune, and be prepared to enjoy some of the interesting articles that are in there. And don't forget, if you want to participate on the show, you need to call 702-743-8297. That's 743-8297. My name is Blu Laker. I'm not blue today, but we'll see you about tomorrow. Have a great day. I'm leaving, Don.